Randy Wolkin, REDC co-chair and president of MACNY, Rob Simpson, president of Center State CEO, Greg Lancette, president, the Central and Northern New York Building Trades, all our county and city electeds who have joined us today, and our brothers and sisters in labor. Now, please welcome Carrie Quaglia, founder and CEO of Home Headquarters. Ben Walsh, mayor of the city of Syracuse. And please rise and give a big Syracuse welcome to the 57th governor of the great state of New York, Kathy Hochul.
Good morning. Good morning. Great to be back here. Have a little allergies. I'm fine. I feel perfect. So don't worry about me. I'm loaded up on Zyrtec and everything else I could possibly find. But I feel great because I'm back in a community that I know and love so well. This is a place that launched me on my career. Syracuse University, they still remember my activism, and we're probably very happy. In fact, the chancellor saw me 10 years later at a reunion, and he says, "Yeah, we couldn't wait till you graduated." But that's all right. That's all right. I've been a fighter ever since, and I just want to, as I think about fighters, I want to take a moment here. We lost one of our champions this past week, and I talked to Linda. Van Robinson was just a legend. His work, president of the city council, and bringing back the NAACP is a real force. And there wasn't a social cause that he wasn't just so instrumental in driving. So if we can just give a moment of silence for our great friend, Van Robinson. Thank you. Thank you. Since I first became governor, I put forth a bold vision for our state. I wanted New York to be a place where people could afford to live and call their home. And it's so important to me. And I said back in my State of the State just in January, a stable home is the foundation of a stable life. And I learned this firsthand growing up as I saw my parents ascend from their first home in a trailer park, tiny little trailer park. My brother was born. I came along a year later, Irish Catholics, and had a little tiny apartment for me, and then the family grew to 6 kids, and my parents were able to get little places all along the way. But that was part of my journey, and it's one I always reflect upon, and I often go back to the neighborhood where my parents started in that trailer park because there's people still living there. And there's a little diner I go to and sit there and talk to the neighbors and never forget where I came from. But having a stable home, no matter how big or so small, but to call your own means everything to families. And they gave me more than a roof over my head. It gave me that security, that foundation, that I was going to be okay. And that's what families deserve. And I feel that dream for too many New Yorkers is just out of reach. And just finding a place, first of all, even an apartment is hard. Finding a home you can afford, which was always the American dream, is almost impossible for so many. And I find that to be tragic. There was always an expectation when I was growing up, you work hard, you have a job, you're going to get there at some point. But we have not kept up with the ambition of what was required, which meant we should have been building more all along. And communities who said no, we should have overcome that, because now a generation is suffering. Young people cannot find that first apartment. People cannot find that home. So tackling the housing crisis remains a key central priority of my administration. And we have to make up for a lot of lost years, so that requires boldness. When I first became governor, I said $25 billion to build over 100,000 units across the state. And I said, we're going to get it done. And I put a time frame on it of 5 years. My friends, we worked hard, and now We're more than halfway there with more time to go. We have over 60,000 units, and I'm really proud of that. And a year ago, after a lot of people saying it couldn't get done, we struck the most extensive housing deal in half a century with our state legislature. And one thing I put forth was this idea that we would reward the communities that would have the ambition to build. And I'm really proud that Syracuse, under the leadership of our mayor, was one of the very first communities to step up and say, I'm in. I will do this. I will meet your growth targets and be able to benefit from, at the time, $650 million of money available statewide for communities that agreed to be pro-housing. People told me everybody wanted carrots instead of sticks. A lot of carrots, $650 million worth of carrots. And it was interesting because at first there were only 20 communities that stepped up. I thought, that's a lot of money for 20 communities. And everybody started thinking, hey, what about us? What about us? And now we have over 300 and more to go. So I'm proud of that. But this area has been particularly focused on this. And this area has suffered from decades of neglect, disinvestment. But now, and you've seen this, there's so much happening here. I-81 is no longer a pipe dream. We're going to finally heal a community that was severed so many years ago. And I saw it firsthand as a Syracuse student. I didn't understand why we almost never went to this part of town. It was so close, it was right there. But it was two different worlds. It was wrong. And so many people, people who graduated and wanted to stay, or people who've lived here all their lives. But now we're at a new chapter with I-81, and we just announced the on-ramp in Syracuse, only 4 locations in the state, which is going to be a training center for the jobs of tomorrow. So excited about that. But it's not like when I was growing up in Buffalo or knew about Syracuse and Rochester, where you just hope the jobs come someday. Maybe they'll come. They're coming. And Micron is going to be the catalyst for so much development here, excitement, investing in our community in a way that is profound. This will be one of the greatest achievements of any administration, is to have the largest private sector investment in American history going on right now, and we fought hard to get it here. And it's happening. And here's why it is so important to build housing. More people are going to move here. People are going to discover this region. And when I was trying to, during our courtship with Micron, spent a lot of time with the CEO and his principals talking about how magnificent Syracuse is. It's literally the heart of the state. And to the north, you have the Adirondacks and the beautiful St. Lawrence River and charming communities. And to the south and east and west, you have Finger Lakes that are amazing, charming towns, a vibrant downtown, universities. This is a place on the go, and it's a quality of life which is second to none. I sold them on the quality of life here. They could have gone anywhere, and they're about to. So I'm going to deliver on that, not just for them, but for the people who've never given up on Syracuse, the businesses who always believe through some tough times, a recession, a pandemic, inflation, another recession probably coming, but we are tough and resilient here in Upstate, are we not, my friends? We are as tough as they get. But to be prepared for this transformation, we can't just say, oh, that's great, it's going to be wonderful. You have to be ready for it. You have to take the steps. And again, housing is the cornerstone of this. And people, I want you to know, in New York City and all over are talking about this. This is fertile land for development. It's a place people are excited about. And I want to make sure that we build more housing so costs for working families start coming down. Simple. Economics 101. You build more houses, the prices come down. I want people to know that there is a home waiting for them. And we're going to build 30,000 new homes in this area over the next decade, and we're just started. Just since I've been in office, $76 million already in grant programs and award for Syracuse. And also down payment assistance for families. It takes so much to scrape together that down payment, and We have vacant properties that need to be restored. There should not be a single vacant property anywhere in Syracuse or this region because that is valuable land now. Let's turn it into housing, bring life back to it. And we're redeveloping one of the very first public housing communities in our country, Pioneer Homes. Let's bring them back to new life. And earlier today, I had the privilege of touring Home Headquarters Smart Housing Readiness Project. It's a long name, but here's what it is. It's housing for people who've never had it before. And this is made possible with over $8 million in state subsidies. And I see Teresa Durham here today, a grandma with her daughter and granddaughter. And Teresa, stand up for a second here. We were able to... I was able to tour this beautiful single-family home. It has a little patio on the back. You must sit out there and look at the flowers growing in your garden. Invite your family over. She doesn't like to cook. I said, that's okay, I don't either. A lot of good takeout. Pizza at the Varsity is really good. I used to work there. But to be able to hand her the keys to this home, she's a grandma. It's the first time she's ever been able to own her own home. She was crying. I wanted to cry because this is transformational, not just for a region, but for people. That's what we're doing this for real people. Give them a chance. Let them know they matter. They have value to us. And that's so important. Just a few months ago, that the houses looked like just a jumble of 2x4s, and now this is the first of 6 here. And there'll be over 40 homes in this area with this support. And this is just getting started. So Teresa will be able to welcome her family, have cookouts in the backyard, meet the new neighbors who also will be very excited about this. And I really believe that these investments are so important because it's not the dollar amount, it's the people that we're serving. So I've doubled down on our budget on Syracuse's future. As we build more housing and welcome more people, it's really, really, really important that we have first-rate medical care for everyone. That's why this budget, I'm announcing $450 million to redo the emergency room at Upstate Medical Center. Dr. DeMond, thank you. Thank you for all you do at Upstate. You know, we had another dollar amount in the budget to get started. And I went and toured, and I saw not just the incredibly dedicated staff, but I saw the patients, lined up in the hallway. They're doing the best they can in a tough circumstance. And I said, let's not delay this any longer. Let's give them what they need. Let's get it done. Let's show this area when you provide first-rate health care in a world-class facility, then it says this region has arrived. And I want to thank everyone who fought so hard for that. And that's just the beginning, but there's more. We're going to allocate $3 million for infrastructure development at Lafayette Hills. This is for sewer improvements to turn a former golf course into 240 units of new housing. I want to thank the mayor. This is one of his top priorities. Thank you, Mayor Walsh. The revitalization, let's invest more, $2.3 million for the Onondaga Hotel project. Let's bring that property back to life. Great big vision for that. Thank you. And to make sure that we can support both the infrastructure for the new technology and the new businesses that are coming and our homes, we also secured $116 million in upgrades for the Onondaga Water Authority, which is going to make a difference. So this is how we'll meet the demand for thousands of employees as well as our businesses, because our infrastructure, the lack of, maybe you don't think about it a lot. I'm a former local government official. We're obsessed about what's under the ground, the water and sewer lines, and if you don't have them, you don't grow. It's that simple. So I want to make sure that there's no barriers to the continued growth of this region. And these aren't standalone projects. They work together as a foundation for a long-term growth plan for this region. And it shows what's possible when we plan, not just plan, but you plan with a purpose. You're on the same page. You're working together toward a common cause. And so overall, I want to have this happen all over. We have over $500 million statewide for new housing. And as I mentioned, we're adding even another $100 million to the $650 million for the pro-housing families, so they will benefit from even more. Part of that is to mix for more mixed housing. Part of it is to help people have improvements to existing homes. That's so important. But also build starter homes. I want more starter homes out there. They don't have to be huge. My first apartment was 600 square feet. I thought I hit the jackpot when I had a house that was 1,200 square feet. Oh my God, I just doubled my space. Of course, we had 4 people in our family. It was a little tight, but that's all right. We were a very close family, literally a very close family. But also for homeowners who are struggling, $40 million for legal assistance and counseling, because not everybody knows how to get through the complications of home ownership. But here's another challenge to people buying homes. You have these private equity firms that are swooping in and buying up the housing, and they're paying cash. Young family out there, being turned down after turned down after turned down after all these houses they look at and they make an offer on, and they're being beat out by these huge corporate interests. And so I'm changing the law to take away the inherent advantage they have and saying you have to wait 90 days if you're going to bid on a 1 or 2 family home. That's how you give an advantage to our people, our first-time home buyers. So back in January, I made a vow. I said, your family is my fight. Fighting for public safety, we got it done. Fighting for more affordability initiatives. If you look at the details, it's up to $5,000 in people's pockets. That'll help pay the rent. That'll help pay the mortgage. But as I said, there's fewer things in life more important than the stability of a safe home. And I wanted more people to have that key opening the door for the first time like we did for Teresa, because that's what this region deserves. And I will fight to make that a reality. Very proud to come back to Syracuse, and thank you everyone, because we are just getting started. Carrie Quaglia, I want to introduce you and thank you for what you're doing, Carrie, for doing such a great job and being one of the visionaries behind this effort. We can't do it without people like you. So come on up, Carrie.
Thank you very much, Governor. We could not have been more pleased today as our first-time home buyer, Teresa Durham, walked through with Governor Hochul and Mayor Walsh through the lovely new home she's purchasing at 229 Loomis Ave. The house is absolutely beautiful, but it's also smart, and that's why we call the effort smart housing here in Syracuse. It's super insulated. It has an I-Star rating. It uses heat pump technology for heating and cooling, so there's no fossil fuels. It should be comfortable and inexpensive for Teresa and her family to maintain for a very, very long time. And nobody's going to ask you to move from there. So you're all set. Now, this is the first home that we sold under the state's new Affordable Homeownership Opportunity Program, also known as AHOP. Under this program, for the first time ever, the state provides a deep subsidy for new construction of affordable housing. Under this program, Home Headquarters will complete 40 new affordable homes this construction season, provided the rain ever stops. I'd like to give you some perspective here. I'm sure many of you read Tim Knauss's article just yesterday about the possibility of building new homes with less subsidy on vacant lots, and to see if the private market could absorb those. For that article, Tim asked us to give him an idea of how many homes we had built over the past, say, 10 to 12 years. And we came up with 110 homes that we've built over, say, 12 years. Well, that may sound like a lot, but it's really sort of a drop in the bucket, because by comparison, with these new state programs, thank you, Governor Hochul, the AHOP program and the new block-by-block program will construct a total of 50 new homes this year alone, and we expect to replicate that effort year after year after year. Thank you. So these are just with a couple of the new tools that are available for new construction. But we'll also continue to utilize existing state programs such as the Legacy Cities program, the Affordable Homeownership Development Program, to rehabilitate 40 to 50 vacant homes per year for properties that we acquire from the land bank or from HUD or from Fannie Mae. And we'll also sell those as affordable housing with subsidies that we get from the state. Now let's shift gears just a little bit from property development into home improvement. Here again, the governor and the legislature have given us new tools to assist low and moderate income homeowners. Home Headquarters applied for and received $5 million for the city of Syracuse under the new THIP program. It stands for Targeted Home Improvement. That's helping fix up owner-occupied properties for the people and neighborhoods here in Syracuse that need it most. Similarly, we received a major award from the state's new Resilient Retrofits program, which seeks to make homes more flood-resistant and resistant to the storms that can seemingly blow up at anywhere at any time. There's also a new state program called the VRIP program, which seeks to help mom-and-pop landlords in fixing their vacant units so those vacant units can be occupied, also adding to affordable housing. When you add up these new state resources to Home Headquarters' existing home improvement programs, we expect we will help more than 1,000 owner-occupants with their home improvement needs in this year alone. It's pretty incredible. In addition to these new resources, we heard from the governor just today that new initiatives will make home improvement more achievable and affordable. I'm particularly interested in the new program to incentivize the building of more starter homes. We're all about that. Over the years, we've built just about every type of housing imaginable, stick-built, modular, panelized, and we're always looking to experiment with new building technologies to try to bring the costs down. The governor also mentioned the launching of the first mixed income revolving loan fund. And as a community development financial institution, Home Headquarters will definitely want to learn a lot more about that program. And further, as the governor mentioned, we're always looking for new sources of funds to provide down payment and closing cost assistance, because that's the largest impediment that we have for first-time home buyers. In short, I've been in the affordable housing business for a very long time. I'm not going to tell you how long I've been doing this, but this is by far the most dramatic and comprehensive approach to responding to the affordable housing crisis that I have ever seen in my entire career, period. So thank you, Governor Hochul. And on behalf of the thousands of people that Home Headquarters helps every year, we ask you to please keep it coming. And now it's my privilege to introduce Mayor Walsh. And I think we have to give credit where credit is due, because several years ago, he really kicked off this whole new construction effort with something he called the Resurgent Neighborhood Initiative. And now I think there's a lot more tools available to bring that to fruition. So, Mayor.
Thank you, Carrie. For those of you that don't know Carrie or Home Headquarters, hopefully you got some insight into what is one of our true secret weapons in the housing game in Syracuse. So let's give it up for Carrie and his team at Home Headquarters again. We really do have a great team in the city of Syracuse to undertake this work. There are members of the Common Council here, and while, again, we don't always agree on things, including the budget, we have always been fully aligned on housing, and so I want to thank the Common Council. Our Deputy Mayor Sharon Owens is here. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Owens, who has overseen the Resurgent Neighborhoods Initiative. But as Carrie said, this is not something that started overnight. This has been years in the making. And we've had the local political alignment and will. We've had the vision and the plan. We've had the partners like Home Headquarters and the Land Bank that have been ready to go. What we've been missing largely was the resources, and that's where Governor Hochul has come in. I cannot tell you how many conversations that we've had about housing, and every challenge that I've brought to the governor, she has solved with real resources, as evidenced by what we're here talking about today. When I presented the challenge that we had with the Syracuse Developmental Center, the governor delivered, and now that sprawling complex is almost completely demolished, and we will begin, hopefully later this year, building hundreds of new units of housing. When we talked about the Maria Regina project up on the north side where my mom went to college, the governor delivered. And I do have to give a shout out she has a great team. Lenny Skrill in particular from HCR we've been working Lenny hard, but you delivered on Maria Regina, and we expect to close on that later this year. When I said, Governor, we have this amazing opportunity with a former golf course that has gone vacant, where we can literally build a new neighborhood, the size of which this city and this region has not seen in many, many years. Again, today, the governor delivers $3 million, which should help us get over the hurdle, particularly with the sewer infrastructure, and again, get hundreds of units built, and in doing so, again, creating an entire neighborhood. From the housing to Interstate 81, to our healthcare infrastructure, to our water infrastructure. Governor, you have delivered time and time again. I want to thank you so much for your belief in Syracuse, your investment in Syracuse, and your investment in our vision to be a growing city, which we are. We are growing, that embraces diversity and creates opportunity for all. So thank you, Governor. Thank you all for your support, and God bless.
Thank you, everyone, for attending today's event. That is the conclusion of today's event. Please exit through the back doors and turn to your left. Thank you again for attending.